Good afternoon, everyone. Let's call this meeting to order at 4:12 in the afternoon of July 2nd, 2026. Miss Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call to ascertain a quorum?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina,
Here.
member Bill Brown,
Here.
and Secretary Dottie McKinney here.
Very good. We have a quorum. And we'll recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of
of
America
America and to the republic for which it
it
stands,
stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty and justice for all. All right. And we can open it up for public comment, although I see no one in the attendees gallery that's public. So I think we can open and close that rather quickly. And it brings us to the approval of the current agenda, which constitutes the approval of the meeting minutes, which I'm going to recommend that we postpone that to our next meeting because neither Bill nor I were present at our last meeting, and the author of the minutes would be the only one voting on the minutes. So I think it'd be prudent if we push item number 3 to our next agenda, a regular meeting in 2 weeks.
Well,
But
number
aside from
three
that,
is approval of the agenda. And so you want to move for that. And then number
I'm
four,
sorry.
you'd want to postpone.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Four postpone. Correct. I was on the wrong one. So that would be the only adjustment that I am proposing when we vote on the agenda. Any further discussion? Well, then I move to approve today's agenda with the change to item number 4 to move that to our next regular meeting. A second, please.
All second.
Thank you, Bill. And Miss Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote to approve today's agenda, which includes moving item number 4, the approval of the meeting minutes from June 9th to our next regularly scheduled meeting?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Bill Brown,
Aye.
and Dottie McKinney, aye.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you all. So now we get into the meat of today's meeting, which is the salary schedule for the school year 2026-2027 for licensed professionals and education assistants. I turn it over to Mr. Colander and company.
Very good. So the short of this is that we had, due to time constraints, presented a salary schedule to the board, and I believe that was approved. We had to go back to the drawing board a bit with that because the difference between what was on the printed salary schedule versus what returning staff were going to see caused some hubbub. And so we wanted to align all of them. And so Whitney did yet another salary schedule, which was also presented to the board and also approved. And after those two, we had a request from the union to negotiate salaries with the school. And the result of that was a signed MOU indicating they preferred, as opposed to a salary boost. So the breakdown essentially was it's based on earning levels. So initially we had thought a little bit of a higher pay raise to those who were essentially level 1 teachers because they are already on the 80-20 split for insurance, whereas those who were level 2 and level 3 were going to see an increase in take-home pay because of the new 80-20 split for them. So we were going to give a little bit of a higher bump, 2.5% to level 1 employees, and a little bit of a lower bump, which was the state average mandate, which was 1% to any level 2 or level 3 employee. The union felt that it unfairly benefited the lowest income earners compared to the highest income earners, and so wanted a flat rate across all employees of 1.5%. And when I say employees, by the way, I'm sorry, I'm referring only to those who are members of the bargaining unit, which was part of that initial question I was having with Whitney about those who are not members of the bargaining unit. They are still only receiving a 1% increase. So they're all sort of scattered. They're not necessarily on the salary schedule per se. So we needed to approve based on that signed MOU. We are requesting for the board, or presenting to the board for their approval, and a yet third salary schedule that is now fully updated so that it is a 1.5% across the board raise. If I understand correctly, and Whitney can chime in if I'm getting this wrong, this does not equate to a change to our budget. because that broke even with the 2.5 to 1.
Correct.
So budgetarily the same, but a salary schedule that reflects a 1.5 across the board.
Yep. And I will share screen because I did finally get the file to open. Okay. So this is, as Jake mentioned, the salary schedule with the uniform 1.5% distributed across the board.
You
Net
might
neutral to the budget.
you might need to make that a little bit larger because it's
Yep.
quite small on my screen.
Better?
I can live with that. Anybody else?
That's good.
So let me see if I got this right. The school offered level ones a little bit more than the twos and threes, and the union came back and wanted everybody at the same percentage level.
That's correct.
That is absolutely fascinating to me.
Yeah,
And
so the
I
level ones are going to get 1% less than what we originally planned, and the twos and threes are going to get 0.5% more than we originally planned.
I have a hypothetical question. If the board does not approve this, then what?
Then it reverts to status quo, and it would be the 2.5 and 1%.
No, status quo would be last year, so it would be last year's daily rate plus 1% for everyone. You can't revert back to
Yes, that's
something
right.
this school year. You'd have to revert to what was happening last year. So last year, it would have been that daily rate last year plus the 1% average mandated um, increase.
Minus the days on the contract.
That's why I said, well, daily rate, yeah.
Yeah.
I would, if I may, Jake,
I don't know what you're going to say, so I'm going to say yes, you may.
well, I've sat through the union negotiations and it would be my recommendation that the board approve this at this point, um, for what that's worth.
Thank you. Okay. Well, then we can open this up for discussion, beginning with the motion to approve the 2026-2027 salary scheduled for licensed professionals and educational assistants.
And I'll
Second, please.
swap over to EAs just so we have it on the record that I flashed that one up too.
A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Miss Dottie. All right, board members, what say you?
Mm.
And just to confirm, Whitney, the EAs were also now they're at 1.5, but they would have been at the 2.5, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Mhm.
Something that may be helpful, I know some of you have experience with unions, but something that we sort of, throughout the conversations about this particular issue, we did speak to the school's attorney that we bring on for labor-specific information. And something that was clear to her was that when the teachers chose to have a union, they chose to live now in a representative democracy, if you will. And so the representatives in the room are the ones responsible for ensuring they represent the voices of all of their bargaining unit. We had asked back, if you recall, when we were doing calendars, the questions about how should we be surveying staff? Should we be sending out questions to them? Because I probably had a similar concern as Mr. Molina had, which is you're taking a full 1% from the lowest wage earners to give a little bump to the higher wage earners, and that seems like it's equal but not equitable, in my opinion. But part of the something that the attorney shared is that once they have a representative, once they're in the room, essentially AFT and whoever else is in the room, but specifically AFT, they're speaking on behalf of everyone. So if the question or qualm is that shift in the 2.5 to the 1.5 across the board, we have to take it in good faith that the union has spoken to their constituents and they have approval from them to move forward making that deal. We have to sort of function under that assumption, and can't assume that they're doing things outside of the we spoke to our bargaining unit, because essentially we were told like they are the ones we have the contract with as AFT for the representation, that the teachers have the contract for the representation. So whatever they say is like when our senators are in Washington voting on something, people in DC should assume our senators have spoken to their constituents and know that this is what they're wanting. So I concur with Ms. Werner that I would recommend passing it. Um, if there is anyone who feels on the EA or level one teacher side that this is unfair or that they thought they were going to get a bit more, that's a conversation they can have with their representatives, with their union, because this is a union approved 1.5%.
So I'll voice something, and it's in part because of the 2.5, and it's not necessarily due to fairness, but it is actually in regards to it's going to make it more difficult for us as a school to recruit. I know, generally speaking, if the thing that the union did previously point out to us was that the starting salary is not competitive with, I think they pointed out Rio Rancho Public Schools and others. A 2.5% increase would have given us or at least bridge that gap a little bit better than the across the board 1.5. And I think that would be part of the reason. I mean, the union gets to live in the world in which they created. I mean, in some ways, but the one thing that does concern me is those who have um, limited years of experience can't enter, are going to find it harder to enter our school, given that we didn't allow for the lower end of the salary ranges to be able to receive that bump. And that's the thing that concerns me. It's not that I'm necessarily against the process, but that would be my voice of concern here. I would love to hear from Chair Molina and Ms. McKinney if she has any comments. Or even your response to that, Mr. Colander. I mean,
Sure, I'll let if Dottie or Patrick have a response. I do have a response for that I can address, but I'll let them jump in if they'd like to comment first.
Well, I absolutely agree. From a and it is, I get it. I get it. I get the union side, but it certainly does not make us as competitive in the marketplace for the talent required for the level of instruction and the environment that we create for our students when we're not attracting the best we can attract. Um, and when you look at, pardon me, the salary schedule, for somebody coming in level one, a recent grad, uh, that's that's already, I think, thin in this economy, especially with the inflationary pressures we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years. So, and I get it, new grads don't have the same education and experience and all of that that our level twos and level threes have. But our level will never make more level twos and level threes if we can't bring quality level ones through the door. So, those are my concerns. Dottie, if you have any, chime in, and then we'll turn it over to Jake for his thoughts.
I have I guess a concern. I agree totally with you and Mr. Brown, but I almost feel like it's difficult because we have a union now, and if we don't approve, is it going to stir up resentment of our governance? And I have very mixed feelings about this moving forward. Uh, what the repercussions might be if we don't approve it. And maybe again, Mr. Colander can speak to that.
So, in response to Mr. Brown's question, I think that where we've actually seen over the course of hiring the last 3 months, where we've seen the biggest pushback are the more advanced teachers. Our level ones that we're hiring, you only hang out at level one for so long. And so that is a small slice of the pie when it comes to people jumping in recognize that they're not going to be jumping in maybe as high as they could somewhere else if they're like a level one with year 2 or 3, but they have to move up to level 2 quickly thereafter. And so they don't stay at level 1 for very long. And the only teachers that we found, we had three, I think maybe three people that declined a position with us due to the salary schedule, and they were all level 3 teachers who were noticing that on the longevity scale of things, they have sort of scaled up over time, and they were wanting to see that they would maintain those higher salaries coming here. And we tried to explain the give and take, right? Like we don't have APS pay, but we also don't have APS conditions, and we don't have, try to like balance it to them about what the expectations are for it. But so I do hear your concern about attracting applicants, but where we face the challenge was attracting those level 3s. This will make it a little nicer for them. It's not huge. I mean, if an extra point, 5% is not giant, but it does make it a little bit more attractive for those that we had a challenge with. In terms of the questioning on governance, I have not heard anything from union or people inside conversations that the union per se feels that the governing board, their concern is not the governing board. Their concern is where it stemmed from was the administration. I will say that those who are the AFT representatives have been vocal with our teachers saying what you're getting here is a pretty nice deal. Most districts right now have approved a 1% flat across the board. So the fact that we were even willing to go up to 1.5, for them, they felt that that was a generous offer to go that route for them. We had that 2.5 and 1 split. I think that would have been competitive for those level 1s for sure, more competitive for the level 1 teachers. That's just not those aren't the applicants we're attracting right now. We're attracting the upper level ones that want to feel like their 20 years in is paying off. And
I see.
yeah.
Thank you. That explains a lot.
And
I feel
I was just going to add also that administration, there was a bargaining team from administration working with the bargaining team from the union, and that I would suggest that the board's duty is to make sure that we can afford this and that it's manageable as opposed to starting to renegotiate what was negotiated. I think you have a fiduciary duty and there's an impact, and that's why a salary schedule should always be approved by you. But again, I think honoring the negotiations between the admin team and the union team, whether any of us are particularly happy with it or not, it is what was decided. And so I think the board's real purview is to decide if this is manageable and rather than another negotiation on top of a negotiation.
And it may be helpful to know that this is where this is what the school presented was the 1.5 as the compromise to what the union asked for. So the union had requested initially a full 3% across the board, which was
But I
frankly,
think
sorry, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, essentially the 1.5 is what the school negotiated to, as Ms. Werner is saying, that the school agreed to with them, because we felt that if that was if the majority of our teachers, we do have a large majority of that are level 2s and level 3s, and if they are asking for this change in their direction and it costs the school essentially the same, then we felt the 1.5 was okay to move in that direction.
And I did have one other question for Whitney is just to make sure that it's very clear, this shift, this change does not impact the budget at all, right? It was a wash for all intent and purposes, correct?
It doesn't affect the budget from the second round of salary schedules. So the second round being the increased transparency. Everybody lands on the salary schedule. We had the split in the percentages. the result was like an increase of $68,000 in salaries and then 80 in benefits. This now 1.5% across the board is net neutral to that, to the most recent one that was approved.
So from an affordability standpoint on our budget, we are still
We're
healthy.
still okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was still an increase overall from the very original salary schedule that was approved. It just wasn't an increase to the most recent version.
Okay. Because we're still in a repair mode on our finance piece, and I'm sensitive to that. So I just wanted to make sure that was very clear on the record that we've done our duty from a financial standpoint, that this is supportable, feasible, and doesn't um, impact any other areas of the budget. So thank you very much. All right, board, any other discussion before I move to a vote? All right. Then Ms. Steady, I'm going to ask that you hold my vote to the end, but would you please conduct a roll call vote to approve the 2026-2027 salary schedules for licensed professionals and education assistants?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina.
Oh, I was going to be the last one to vote.
Oh, I apologize.
That's okay. No, no worries, no worries.
Member Bill Brown.
Aye.
Um, Member Secretary Dottie McKinney. Aye.
Chair Molina.
Aye.
Thank you.
So the reason I asked to go last was if there was a tie, right, I would break or if there wasn't a tie, I would then break the tie because there's only three of us. So that's why, as the chair, that's my role. So for this one, I wasn't sure how I was going to go, so I wanted to leave it open at the end to be the deciding vote, if you will. So thank you very much. All right, and then so that takes care of that line item on our agenda. Thank you all very much. Great discussion. And item B under item number 5 on our agenda is the Open Meetings Act resolution.
And that, of course, is just the document that outlines notices and that we follow the law for Open Meetings Act. I use the same one every year. I just change the date and the years. But the big part of that is whether you want to continue meeting on is it second Tuesday of
Second
the
Tuesday
month
of the month at
at 5:30?
5:30.
If not, we should change it. But otherwise, I don't see any reason for any other change. But this is your opportunity if you um, want to change the date or time of the meetings. And the reason I added it on the special meeting on you is that the CSD has asked for this to be submitted. They just recently asked and they wanted it submitted by June 30th. And I was like, we've already had our June meeting. Can we have it? I have this on the July agendas every year. So I'd like to get it to them sooner than I originally said. And since you had the
Sure.
special meeting, stuck it on there.
Okay. Um, we'll open up to discussion once we motion and second. I move to approve the Open Meetings Act resolution as provided by the administration.
I'll second.
Second, please. Thank you, Bill. All right. So are we good with Tuesdays as it seems to be working? So far, it's been one of the least friction nights, I think, on everybody's schedule. For the most part, we're all here on that night. So seems to work, but I'm certainly open to thoughts.
I have no objections to it.
Okay. Dottie, still work for you?
It works for me.
Outstanding. Then I'll move forward and ask Dottie to conduct a roll call vote to approve the Open Meetings Act resolution as presented by the administration.
Member Bill Brown.
Aye.
Secretary Dottie McKinney. Aye. And Chair Patrick Molina.
Aye. Woohoo. All right, that is approved. Send it off to CSD.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we are right here at the end for board comments. Any comments from the board members? Going once, twice. Wonderful. I hope everybody has a wonderful 4th of July weekend, even our beloved bankers. I will hereby adjourn this board meeting at 4:37. Our next regular meeting of the Governing Council scheduled for Tuesday, July 14th at 5:30 via this platform. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful weekend.